uncomfortable and vacant.
Oh, so handsome.
In the Acts of 1949, the Housing Act of 1949, provided the funding mechanism to create low-income housing. When people came back from World War from World War II, the young families, there was a baby boom in that area. So this area really wasn't targeted for veterans per se. They were targeted for low-income families, which happened to be the veterans who were coming back from the war. So it wasn't exclusively for veterans, although a lot of veterans came here. But the reason why they named the streets after Richard DeWert, he was a local fellow, he was a medic in the Korean War, and he was probably, he was born in 31, just to give you an example. But he, in about 1948, he joined the military and eventually was stationed in Korea. He fought in the Battle of Frozen Chosin, which was where Rudy da Silva, former mayor, he was captured. Rudy da Silva was captured in that conflict. Richard DeWert survived that, but however, he was a medic. If someone's in trouble in the battlefield, it was his responsibility to bring care and comfort to that soldier, and he did so on this occasion multiple times. A colleague was in trouble. He dodged the gunfire, risked his own life to go out on the battlefield, not once, not twice, not three times, but on the fourth time, he lost his life by going out. When he heard the screams of his colleagues, he risked his own life and ultimately lost his life, bringing that. That's a hero, and he became the third Tauntonian to receive as a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously. So his friends and colleagues recognized and wanted to name the streets within this new established Fairfax Garden housing project, after housing development, after Richard DeWert, in recognition of his heroic. What I want to do is just talk about the past and how much of a historic site that we are on here, leading up to the present day, and then you can see exactly what the future holds for this quite unique spot. But this particular spot, back when it was just a vacant farmland owned by the Sprout family many, many years ago, centuries ago, and just to put in perspective, in the 1820s, the farming was quite a very popular pursuit in this region. Not only had manufacturing jobs, but you did have a lot of farming pursuits by a lot of the residents of the area. So you had what was established, the Bristol County Agricultural Society. And that was actually countywide. There were memberships offered to everybody throughout the county. So when they established it in 1820, they really didn't have a permanent site. So when they had their annual fair, they actually held it right in downtown Taunton, where the current city hall is, was what was called at the time the town hall, just one big open hall. So the exhibits were displayed in the town hall, right on Main Street, the beginning of Summer Street, and the actual outdoor activities, the plowing and the horse pulls and different things like that, was on Church Green, where we just dedicated the recent the statue for the Global War on Terror. Down on Dean Street did have various lots that would be set aside for those type of activities, oxen pulls, things like that. But it was after many, many years they decided to have they wanted to have their own site. So as membership grew and they were able to afford it, they got a select team. Samuel Crocker was the head of it. He was a local congressman who lived right where the post office is. He was headed up the team to acquire a permanent property within 2 miles of the courthouse. So what they did is they came up and they looked at the Sprout farm here, and they decided to acquire it for $5,000. However, they had to build a access road or a driveway from Oak Street. So where the Oak Street fire station is was the actual driveway to get to the site in question. Wow. So this was in the 1850s. So from the 1850s all the way up to 1870, that was just a private way called Agricultural Avenue. In the 1870s, it was turned over to the city, became a public way, still called Agricultural Avenue, and it ended up having it changed to Joyce Kilmer, the poet Joyce Kilmer. It was many years later. But this was an area where they would have all their activities. So in the 1860s, It was actually not only called the fairgrounds, they had not yet built the grandstands that you'll see a picture of in a short bit, and the racetracks and all the activity buildings that they would have here, the barns and such. But back, as you know, Abraham Lincoln, he went and called for the military, for the citizens to step forward to support the Union. So when he sent out the call, there was a gentleman by the name of Darius Nez Couch. He lived right where Wayne Barraby's office is, next between the trial court and the library. He lived there. He was a colonel at the time, a veteran of the Mexican War. And he met with the governor, and the governor appointed him to establish a military regiment for answering the call. And he did so. It was originally called the 15th Regiment, but later assumed the name of the 7th Mass Regiment. Organized, and what they did is they trained on what they had called Camp Old Colony, which was on the fairgrounds. There was plenty of land, cleared land here. So they trained the military group here of local citizens, and they were among the first groups that had to Washington, arrive in Washington, D.C.